Moved from the first floor to the attic quickly. 3 people are displaced. No one is hurt. The cause of the fire at the 2-family home is under investigation. A 21-year-old Massachusetts man is facing charges after he used racial slurs and other derogatory language towards staff at a Pawcatuck hotel, then proceeded to challenge both staff and later police officers to a fight. Stonington police charged William Jordan on a list of charges. Jordan was later released on a $600 bond and is due in New London Superior Court for formal arraignment in August. Southeastern Connecticut is receiving millions of dollars from the American Rescue Act. Norwich got the most overall funding, nearly $30 million, followed by New London with more than $26 million. East Lyme, Montville, Stonington, and Waterford will each receive more than $5 million. The money will come in 2021 and 2022 in direct support set aside for counties. In Westerly, parking will be restricted on Canal and High Streets on Wednesday for road paving and placement of paint markings. Parking on High Street will also be restricted between Broad Street and Railroad Avenue. The dates may be subject to change depending on weather conditions. For updates, check the Westerly Police Department Facebook page.
The managing director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, our pal Tony D, fast becoming one of the most popular segments, joining us here early mornings on Tuesday. And Tony always bringing something to the table. So today we're going to start, there was a band that was around, I think it was the 90s, the Spin Doctors. And that might be a good title for a book about Governor Lamont, the Spin Doctor, isn't it?
Well, and good morning, I'm proud to be among everybody. He's got a large cast of spin doctors. And, Lee Elci, I want to thank you because last week we brought the news of the $72 million spin contract right at the first at-bat of the pandemic on March, I believe it was March 8th of 2020. And that thing rocketed like a pinball machine. I received so many thank yous. There were thousands and thousands of hits on Twitter. I think it was up to 6,000 the last time I saw it.
Wow.
And it just goes to show you how the news and the system and how everything out there is really manufactured. I'm going to use the word manufactured. That's what it is, against the citizen. It's not. When someone's spending $72 million over the course of time and still counting to get a message across, I don't think they're really concerned about us. They're concerned about the interest they're protecting. So, thanks to the Voice of Freedom, thanks to all the great people that came to me this week. And, but for you, this information does not get out there.
Well, that goes right back at you, Tony, because you dig and you've brought so much of this stuff to the light that it would have certainly flown under my radar. So I thank you and our listeners. And I thank you.
Believe me, it's an honor. Now, to show you how much of a manufactured spin machine this is, and people come to me and they say, hey, this is great, keep doing it, why doesn't something happen? And the thing I always say to them is, well, could you do a little something? Could you pick up one little piece of research that I have in my folder? Could you make this inquiry? And it's like, well, I've never done that, but yet I think the past year and a half we've all done things that none of us had really imagined. But it really takes a whole lot of people, because you don't get any help. I mean, basically, the so-called media isn't going to help you. The political system, well, I'm going to keep this to be a clean broadcast. But it's just, you have to do it yourself pretty much. And it really takes the case of a lot of people. This is just one example of what happened this week. SEMA 4 is now public. How about that?
What happened?
It is now a public offering. It's trading on the exchanges. The symbol is SMFR for those that are interested. It started out at about $12 a share. It's kind of drifting 10, 50, 11. No history, no nothing, which is kind of the case of many new earnings. And we happen to know a lot about this one. And there was no real mention of the fact in the Connecticut press other than, SEMA 4 is public, a Connecticut company. Now, the Hartford Courant, who actually wrote the article after what, we had done as to the Lamonts having their hands in this thing and this being their equity, they never even mentioned the Lamonts and the article they did. I mean, this is the spin machine, and this is what it's like. Now, it does bring a couple of questions to mind, which are really kind of interesting. Again, nobody's going to actually advocate these things other than you, other than me, other than folks who are so motivated. The $35.5 million that Connecticut used to prop this thing up for the no-bid contracts, you think we'll get paid back? I mean, now's the time to ask, right? Now, here's the other thing, and this is what people in some of my discussion groups are saying. With the school reopenings, they're talking about kids getting tested for COVID every 2 weeks. Now, then you look to see the trend going on now. It's like de Blasio in New York. Okay, we got to get everybody vaccinated in the government. Newsom in California, the same thing. I mean, there certainly is a play on here, but I think bringing it back just a little bit, the kids are going to get tested every 2 weeks. Is this a potential insider trading situation? In other words, you have a public equity that's driven by COVID testing, and you have somebody in a position of government who's literally driving a market. Why every 2 weeks? Why not every 2 days? Why not every 2 hours? And, Governor Lamont, if you are so darn concerned about these children and you want to be honest and forthright about this, why don't you have another company do the testing? What difference does it make? You really need more money? I mean, it's absolutely insane. Take this one step further. Remember profits to charity. I'm magnanimous. I love the state. I'm going to protect everybody. Now, this is now a public corporation. I personally, I think it's propped, but basically it's like, well, let's give all the Semaphore profits to charity. That's cool. I just went and bought some Semaphore stock, say if I did, under the symbol SMFR. I don't want you giving away my profits, man. So if you're going to do this, and I'm going to hold your feet to it, you've got to tell us what percentage of the holdings you had, when you had them, and when you've been trading, because that is the attributable portion you could give to the state of Connecticut outside of the $35 million that you owe us. And I mean, I'm just warming up in the bullpen, man. Your ball.
I tell you, well, two things. One is, so SMFR is that?
SMFR. All the kids can look it up.
Well, the reason why that kind of makes me laugh because if you look at it, it's sort of like an acronym, or it could stand for something. If you had a dirty, nasty mind, that's sort of where I went immediately. I actually thought you were making that up, and then of course it goes with it. So, but all right, so we'll skip that. But the second part of that is, well, how does it change the dynamic public offering to just, again, I always like to sort of point the question towards the guy who's on his way to EB right now. How does that change his life?
Well, put it this way: it's certainly gonna make his taxes go up. It's certainly he's gonna have to deal with something happening in the schools, the kids getting tested, the masks, the lockdowns, the whole profit play, going there. That's how it's going to change his life. And the other thing is, very curious, yesterday, Lamont switched health department directors to someone. I read her name this morning. It kind of went in one ear and out the other, or in one eye and out the other. I understand she is the person who is the she's from Yale. She's always come against him, at least in the official sense, with any kind of opening up. No, we have to keep things locked down. How it changes that guy in the car and the mom with the kids and all that is, look for additional burdens, look for additional trouble, look for more excuses in the schools. Don't look for your life to be easier. Don't look for things to be more opened up, because he's got some money to make. Basically, that's what it is.
So, listen, if you put your little Kreskin hat on and try to tell us the future, obviously it looks like we're going back down that road where they're going to try.
Believe it.
Oh yeah, we're going to get back to the mask situation and the testing situation, certainly in the schools. So you can see this is a perfect excuse for Lamont to go back down that road. And who knows how much money could be made here, right?
Well, then again, who advocates? I mean, who says anything about it? If this is really a matter of public importance, to me, this is a matter of huge public importance. I talk to young moms who are struggling. They don't like what they see, and they're burdened by this stuff, and they're being shamed. And, it's like, what do I do? And the thing I tell them basically is, you're going to have to start looking for other things to help you beside the system, which is failing you. But, he can just basically, like, we're saying at the top of the year, he can just turn up the dial, which is essentially what he's doing. He's got something there on the markets now. He's got to drive revenues. You're talking quarterly earnings. You're talking, you've got to keep this thing performing. And, here we go. Yeah, there's no, unless somebody actually comes out and says, enough of this horse hockey nonsense, right. You've got to stop doing this. No, other than me, other than several others, we'll look forward to more of it. And but what I will say is, now that you know it, me here, guy in the car, mom getting her kids ready for school, you got to start challenging. You got to start challenging with the information and force people to answer this stuff. This is just terrible.
Yeah, but he has carte blanche to do whatever he wants. They seated him that one more time for 3 more months. He's got that, and who knows? Because obviously he's got the executive orders, and if this thing again continues to turn down this road where I expected to turn down, where they're going to start to implement more of these mask mandates and tell everybody that the sky is falling, he's going to have control again. They'll probably give it to him again till the election.
Let him hear about it. It's sort of like, if you see a news report that's favorable to him, challenge that. If you see a legislator dancing around the situation, as they do so well in Connecticut, challenge him or her. It's like when the din starts to become deafening, then you'll start to see things happen. I think you have a lot of people right now that think, we can get away with it, so they do. It just takes a whole lot of people to do it, though. Right. That's basically it.
I know you want.
It is a hard road, but it's like, consider the alternative. Do you really want to be in this yo-yo ping pong thing for the next 2 years?
All right, I know you wanted to quickly talk about crime real quick. Did you want to go through something?
Well, you mentioned something yesterday, Scared Straight.
Yeah.
And I actually was watching that on Friday, the original one going back to the 70s from Rahway, New Jersey with Peter Falk. And I've heard many, many, many people, and we'll spend a little bit more time with that next week, but why is it in Connecticut that every problem has a political solution when really it's the political solutions that after a while become a problem? I'll just mention one thing. My first sister-in-law years ago when she was student nursing back in Los Angeles, what they would do with kids that were messing around with cars, it's like, well, you're going to spend a night in L.A. receiving, and you're going to watch all the cases come in, and you're going to see what it's really like. And, you're going to go home with nightmares for 6 months, but there's probably a 85 to 90% chance you're not going to do it again. And guess what? It dropped precipitously. That's just one thing. There's a whole lot of other things you can do, but when does it actually come down to we need a societal solution or a political solution to make just something where we don't address things at the root cause? We never do in this state, and then we're actually living Ross Perot. It's unbelievable. We do the same thing over and over again. Maybe we do a little bit more of it or twist it another way, and now it's going to be different. No, it isn't. And the other thing, and I'll just add this, is maybe it's me. Maybe because when I see a dollar go by that I've blown, I don't get that dollar back. The political mindset says, well, I can just go and tax that dollar, run another program, run something else.
Right.
I don't have that luxury, Lee Elci. I really don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I never will.
Tony, good stuff today. I got to run. Thanks as always.
Okay, sorry to keep you.
No, you're good. You're good. We'll talk to you again next week. And check Tony D out on Twitter, man. His